see this guy come out with these cowboy boots, reptile skin, these skulls on the toes, and like tatted sleeves and some freaking hat. He just looked like a crazy mafia guy, right? Stayed calm, but I would pull out my phone like discreetly, and I started. In today's video, I'm gonna be discussing how I made $10,000 a month while in college. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're interested in videos that help you achieve financial freedom every single week. All right, let's get right into the video. I want to tell you guys my story, exactly how I did this. So I was 18 years old. I got my first job working on cars. I'd go around, change cars' tires, their oil, batteries, basic stuff like that. And after a few months of working there, I saved up all my paychecks to have $3,000, and that's what I used to buy my first car, which was a 1997 Acura Integra. And this was my favorite car of all time. I used to call it the Ferrari. I would tell my friends, hey guys, let's go in my Ferrari right now, because I always thought it resembled a Ferrari. I used it throughout my senior year of high school and my first 2 years of college. And then I started getting issues with the car. I was driving and the timing belt would snap and I would lose power. I was like, dude, what's going on? And I would freak out. I would spend money fixing the car every single week. Like, there was a new issue always coming up. So I knew it's time to get a new car, time to get something more reliable. So I was sitting in a parking lot one day, just on Craigslist by chance. I saw this 2009 Honda Civic, right? And at the time, that was a pretty new car. It was posted a minute ago. So I immediately called the guy, and it was an old grumpy man, and he was like, hello, what do you want? And I was like, oh, sir, you have a Honda Civic for sale? Yeah, what's it to you? Long story short, I said I'll be there right away. 45 minutes later, I was at his house, and before going in, I just saw a beautiful brand new blue car. I mean, this was a 2009. It was only like a couple years old, like maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't even know what year I bought this, but it was a couple years old, and I was looking at the car, not a single scratch, not a single dent. It looked brand new inside and out. It had 40,000 miles. So to me, this was a big deal. This was like finally a new car, and it was for $7,000. So he came out of the house. I went on the inside, had that smell. You know when you get in a new car and you get that fresh new smell? That's what it had in there. Even the carpets were covered with rubber mattings. So this car was like basically brand new. I mean, this guy barely used the car. So I ended up going in his garage. I brought out $7,000 cash from the bank, went in his garage. We started counting, and as I was counting, he was getting calls left and right. Oh, sorry, the car's being sold, car's being sold. And I knew at that moment, so many people are calling, and I'm already here buying it. This must be a great deal. But I wasn't thinking about selling it to make money. I was thinking about getting a car for me, right? Buying it. Anyway, I bought the car, drove it home. I ended up selling my old Integra for $500 more than when I bought it. So I sold it for $3,500 when I bought it 2 years ago for $3,000. And a light bulb went in my brain like, wait a minute. I used this car for 2 years and then I sold it for $500 more. There must be something going on here. And that's when I realized there's a lot of money to be made flipping cars. When you guys go, even if you don't want to flip cars, just for yourself, if you're going to buy a car, the most important thing is buying the car correctly. It's not selling it and being a good salesman or doing modifications and selling it for more money. That doesn't matter. What matters is the price you pay when you buy it. Just like a stock in the stock market, you can buy Apple or the best stock in the world, but if you buy it at the wrong price, you lose money. It's not good. You got to buy it at the right price. That's the most important thing. Probably, like, in this whole video, if you take one golden nugget, it's always buy at the right price. Don't be in a rush to buy anything. Once I sold it for $500 more, I had this new Civic, and I was emotionally attached, like finally a new reliable car. But I started looking on Craigslist and seeing they're going for $8,000, $9,000 with more miles than mine and in like way crappier condition. So I knew I had something, and I realized I gotta let my emotions go. I need to sell this because I know I can make a good $2,000 on it. And I ended up buying it for $7,000 and then $500 to register and insure it and whatnot. I sold it 2 weeks later for $9,000. So I made a $1,500 profit after all the investment, right? And I just realized, wait a minute, this was too easy. It's no way. So I started going on Craigslist again, and I would filter out the deals. You know, I'd put a specific mileage I wanted, a specific make and model, because these Honda Civics, I had looked at so many in the past. My friends have the same exact car. I knew this is how the engine's supposed to sound, this is how the car's supposed to drive. So I already was pretty familiar with the car. I was in class one day, the teacher was lecturing. You know when you're in a boring lecture and you just go on your phone? That night in my lecture class, I just went on Craigslist. Deal, again, 5 minutes ago, just posted. And this one had no picture, just two sentences saying, hey, I got a Honda Civic with, I think it was 90,000 miles, 2011, $5,000. And I just instinct, red flag went in my brain like, oh shoot, this is cheap. This is no way. So I called him. I stepped out of class to go to the restroom, called him and set up an appointment, met him up the next day, grabbed a friend, we drove to Arizona, nice little road trip, bought the car later on down the road, sold it for $2,000 more. Like, it was that easy. And I started to realize, okay, you can do this in a weekend. I mean, you can go buy a car and then you know, as long as it takes for you to register it, get the title and sell it, you can make some money. Now, obviously, you're gonna need a dealer's license if you're gonna do this all the time, or whatever sales license that you need in your state. Some states have limits, like if you don't wanna get a license and do all that, you can do 5 cars a year. I think that's what it is in California. Anything more, you do have to get a license, but if you wanna do this here and there throughout the year, you don't need a license, right? If you're gonna do less than 5 cars, you can legally own, like buy and sell 5 cars. Consult a professional, a lawyer about this, okay? I don't know the technicals, it's based on where you live. So yeah, it's just that simple. I would be in a simple pattern, right? I would just go on Craigslist whenever I was bored, see a car I like, buy it, sell it for more. Now you gotta buy it right, at the right value. A common question I've gotten is, what about insurance? When I buy the car, how do I know if I'm insured? Or like, what do? Do you buy insurance for 30 days? This all depends on what insurance company you're using for your current car. So every time I would buy a car, I'd call my insurance and let them know, hey, I just bought a car. Is there a grace period, or what can I do about this? And for me, my insurance gives me a 30-day grace period, meaning whenever I buy a car, I have 30 days to contact the insurance and register it and do all that. So it's still insured for 30 days. So as long as I bought a car and sold it within 30 days, I never really had to buy insurance for it because it was covered through a grace period. Another thing that people ask me a lot is, how do you deal with competition? Isn't there a lot of people trying to buy these cars? Well, yes. In the beginning, if you're trying to flip $1,000 cars or cheap cars, you're gonna have a lot of competition. Because I remember I was trying to buy like a $3,000 Toyota Camry. I showed up in the first like 10 minutes of the ad being posted. I called him, I showed up, and this other guy showed up at the same time. So I was there, then I saw him get out of his car, and he just blatantly shoved me over and like just went to the car. Like, he didn't physically shove me, but he just ran right up to the guy and said, hey, I want to test drive, let me drive the car. And I was naive and young, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay, he's just gonna test drive it and then I'll get my turn. But the moment he came back from the test drive, you know the story, he just came out and said, I want it, I'm buying it, it's mine, done. And I was like, wow, dude, like, I just wasted my time showing up just letting this guy cut me off. You know, people are cutthroat in this world. The lower the price, the more cutthroat competition you have. I mean, this guy said, he told the guy right after the test drive, I'm buying the car. And then he looked at me and said, you want to buy my old Camry? And I was like, dude, get out of here, man. Like, whatever. I learned the lesson the hard way. You got to be aggressive, right? So next time, if I show up to a deal and it's a cheap car and there's another guy, like, make sure you go in there and like, you're a shark, you know? Don't let them bite you and kick you out. But this is only with lower priced cars. I've noticed when you get into cars above $8,000-$10,000, a higher price range, there's much less competition because not many people have that much money laying around. But obviously, some of you watching, right, you have to start somewhere. Well, you're gonna have to deal with these sharks potentially and just be faster and be smarter. You can do it, right? Like, have alerts. I would use this app called IFTT, any type of app that alerts you, and anytime a new car would get posted, I knew right away. Boom, like, check it out. Like, I would see within the first minute, oh, this was posted, and then my brain would scan like, oh, not a good deal, good deal. This video could be like an hour long. I can go into every detail of what's a red flag and what not to buy, but I don't want to drag this video out. I just want to tell you guys how I personally made $10,000 a month while in college on the side, just on my free time during the weekends. Whenever I was bored, just pop up Craigslist, pop up Auto Trader, look at what was posted. And after looking at ads so many times, you start to realize what's good and what not. You see certain words people use like, oh, this is garbage. Because I've wasted so much time driving out to just find out I can't buy the car. Like, oh, there's something wrong with it. Oh, this guy was lying. Like, once there was this 2005 Acura TSX and the guy advertised it at 50,000 miles. But here's a red flag that I didn't know that I know now. And if any of you watching this, like, take note of this. He said, I'm not gonna share my VIN number and meet me here at this grocery store. So automatically I should have been like, he's hiding his VIN number so I can't run a Carfax, and he wants to meet me in a public place, not at his address. But the deal was so good, I was like, oh, screw it, I gotta go check it out. So when I saw it in person, I see this guy come out with these cowboy boots, reptile skin, these skulls on the toes, and like tatted sleeves and some freaking hat. He just looked like a crazy mafia guy, right? When I saw him, I was like, okay, cool. And I just acted cool, stayed calm, but I would pull out my phone like discreetly and I started typing in the VIN. I was looking at the VIN, putting in the number as he was talking, trying to sell me the car, being a salesman, right? As soon as I ran that Carfax, it showed that it had 250,000 miles, and I knew right there, I'm dealing with a con artist face to face, and I do not want to be involved in this. So I just nicely told him, hey, you know what, I'm not interested, walked away, I'm just gonna move on in my life. There's a lot of con artists on Craigslist, on the internet. People will lie. You know, you guys have to be safe, take your precautions, go on there, make sure you run a Carfax before you go out and waste your time, and make sure you have the essentials down. I know this video didn't go over everything on how you can flip cars. If you guys want more details on how I value a car or how I actually go through the process of buying and selling it, let me know. Leave a comment down below saying, hey, tell me how to do this or how to do that, and I'll make a video on it. But until next time, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See ya.